would, please rise and do the invocation of the pledge. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Give us our trespasses, we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before you're seated tonight, I would ask you to join me in a moment of silence. Two individuals that worked with our Hendry County School Board for a very long period of time and had very significant impacts to our students. The first one is Mr. Delmar Hackle. He worked with us in 1993 until 2011, until he retired, and he was with the Cloiston Maintenance Department. He moved to Alabama and recently passed away. The second one is from Ms. Marjorie Redd, worked with us from 2005 to 2011 in LaBelle Transportation. We often say that it's not just teachers, but it's everyone involved. It's our maintenance workers, our bus drivers, and those who also touch the lives of our students in other ways that really make a true impact. Please join me in a moment of silence for both of these great individuals. Thank you very much. You can be seated.
Move right on into presentations this evening. Mr. Superintendent, looks like we have a presentation this evening.
Yes, sir. Team, are y'all ready to go? Oh, okay. So y'all go ahead and come into place, and I'll kind of lay the groundwork for you. I once heard a great philosopher say that when you are making high-level changes and addressing situations, you should be trying to solve an issue or fix a said problem. And tonight, what we're going to do is to kind of begin the conversation with you guys and kind of lay out there some thoughts that we're having. We're going to identify the problem and the situation, and I'm going to kind of give you the 35,000-foot view, and then I'm going to let Ms. White and Ms. Duncan give you the more granular view. And hopefully what we're going to do is end up at the end with kind of a direction that we see ourselves moving. And then in January, I'm not asking for any kind of decision tonight. I would just like to hear your thoughts on it as a board. And then in January, we'll come back to you with a vote so that we can move forward with the said decision. You all know that we've been taking our number of students with disabilities has been increasing exponentially. More so than any years previous in our history. It is very crucially important that the young early learning happens to set the stage so that students can learn to be productive adults. We have some very good systems in place, but because of the situation of taking on more high-need students, it has put a strain on the system that we currently have with regards to who's in the class and with regard to the expense of the class. Since its inception, the pre-K paradigm that we currently have has cost the school district quite a bit of money. What we're going to do is we're going to show you where the money we get does come from, and we're going to explain to you students that we get zero income or reimbursement for, and we have some of those in there. It's always been that way. That's not new. But we just want to make sure that everybody's on the same understanding level about that. At the end of the day, what we're going to do is we're going to show you as a board the direction we're leaning and wanting to go to and kind of get your feedback on that before we make any final decisions. Again, which we'll come back to you in January with that. It's imperative that we do it no later than January, because in January is when we start registering those students for that fall term. And so we want to make sure that we have clear direction and that we're all on the same page before that happens. Okay, so with that in mind, you have the presentation in your packet. It's also on the screen in front of you. So Ms. White and Ms. Duncan, I'll let you guys get started. One board, I would ask this, because there's a lot of information here. If you would please let us go through the presentation. Please make notes if you want, so we'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. But if we can get through it, we may answer some of them as we go. But if not, if you have further questions, of course, we know that we're going to have some good discussion around this. But we just want to go through the presentation and then come back and answer questions, if that's okay with you guys. All right, thank you.
I feel attacked by that.
No. We'll let you go first.
I'm just playing.
Okay. All right.
All right, Thank you, Superintendent. Tonight, we're going to go over a variety of programs with you that will include just a review of inclusion preschool, voluntary preschool, ESC services for contact and place, which is some private school things that we're looking at, and then some potential other things leading to FES scholarships that are currently being reviewed as well. So Ms. White's going to talk about IPK, Inclusion Preschool Program.
So currently, our IPK Inclusion Pre-K, we have 8 gen ed students to 12 ESE students in those classrooms. We have 6 of those classrooms on this side of the district, and we have 5 on the other side of our district. We had to change our model a little bit last year because we continually are getting more and more students. And so the year before, it was 10 to 10. That ratio had to change because we needed more space for our ESE students. As we continue to get those numbers, we have to look at how are we serving them, how many classrooms do we have, and how many people to serve those students. And so currently, our gen ed peers, we get no funding for those students. We are not charging any fees for parents to place their students with us. We do accept 4-year-olds, and we will take 3-year-olds right now when we don't have spaces, when we need to fill those spaces, okay? What we are spending things on for those students is transportation, the supplies for those students in the classroom materials, furniture, a portion of the teacher and a portion of the para's salary to address those student needs, and building resources including nurse, like we have a nurse here at the KELP that addresses those students as well, and at each site in the well. So one of the things we are considering is looking at charging a fee for those gen ed peers to come. So we look at daycare costs around our area to see what does it cost for a 3 and a 4-year-old to attend daycare. And these fluctuate a little bit, may have changed a little bit from the time that we have this up here. But it's anywhere from $160, $175, $100 for those students weekly. And so that is where we are looking at, if we do look at charging a fee, what would that look like? And we have a slide that will address that in just a moment.
So currently, when you look at the about 50% ratio that we have for gen ed peers, and again, as Ms. White stated, those students do not generate any funding from the state. The district is 100% paying for those students to attend, including any transportation costs, the teacher costs, everything that those children require. And so currently, we have 11 teachers in inclusion preschool and 22 paraprofessionals. And if you look at 50% of those salaries, that is the money that is expended to support about 50% of those kids not being special needs students in those programs. So again, it just kind of gives you a baseline. That's not accounting for the supplies, the transportation, additional costs. That's just kind of an overall sneak peek of the money that we are expending on those students, not generating funds back to the district.
So if we were to charge a fee, we were looking at proposing a fee of $100 a week. Currently, the enrollment is 86 students, and that would look at a potential income of $309,600 to the district. And that nowhere covers any of the, costs that you just saw, not even salaries. There are other options being considered to restructure the program. Because of the intense needs of our students right now that we are receiving, it is really, they are not always benefiting and getting the attention that they need, because we do have 20, 21 kids in a classroom sometimes. And that's a lot and pulls away from them. Also, those gen ed peers are not getting what they need because of the intense needs of the kids who are ESE students. So we are also discussing not having an inclusion pre-K, just focusing on varying exceptionalities pre-K, 15 students in a class, keeping the teacher in 2 paras, so that those students get what they need. And those 4-year-olds would then, of course, be eligible for VPK if they meet the criteria, or 3-year-olds could access daycares in the community. We do, I just lost my train of thought, so I think that's it. And then I'll turn it over to Laura. And when you're addressing questions, let me know.
Yep.
Laura's not feeling good, so I'm going to assist her with that. So right now, VPK is funded through a variety of programs. It does not cost the district any financial resources out of the general fund, other than just the access of the facilities. It is paid for out of migrant funds, VPK funds, and Title I funds. However, with the transportation not being something that is paid for and things like that, we are considering $25 per student as a simple registration fee, and then having exceptions for students who are possibly homeless or low income and that cannot provide that $25 fee. Dr. Money's also looking into that just to make sure that's allowable. Many districts across the state do charge a minor registration fee anywhere from $25 to $100, so we do feel like that's a viable option as long as we still support the students that could not financially, and that would not be a factor for inhibiting them from attending if they had the financial inability to pay that $25. The other thing that we're talking about, Montura Early Learning Center previously had 2 full-time classrooms with about 40 students out there. The enrollment out there has dwindled over the last few years just simply because more and more students, their parents work in town, and so they want their students to come into town and those kinds of things. So currently, we've already reduced to just 1 classroom out there at 20 students, and we've had difficulty keeping that classroom filled all year long. There's been a lot of turnover. We go down to 18, and then we pick up 1 or 2, and things like that. And that is a facility that is strictly paid for out of VPK funds?
No.
Migrant funds?
The same as all the other ones, except for like any extras for the building, electricity, things like that comes directly out of BPK.
So there's a lot of additional costs
So
up there.
salaries, basically, salaries, supplies, things like that still come out of Title I migrant and
Because
BPK.
the district doesn't own that building or that facility, so we're picking up the electricity and things like that.
We own the
out there
building,
as well.
but not
We
the
own the building,
land.
not the
Yeah.
land, yes.
And there's other pieces that make it a money pit, since it's not municipal water. Dr. Mundy has to have the water tested at a very high fee. It's an off-site place, and so there's a lot of reasons why it's becoming not a good business model for us to have that there.
And we don't have a full-time principal or things like that out there, so just for supervision wise, anyway, so that is something that we're considering. No decision has been made, but we're looking at possibly moving that classroom to the Kelp here on this site and transporting those students in for the day. And then, of course, that teacher would have the option of moving to this site as well.
And I'm going to let Mr. Swindle speak here about a la carte.
No, it's ESC private place first. Okay, okay, yes, my turn. So the second part about this is statewide, because of the school choice, and which is becoming increasingly popular, and parents and families taking advantage of that, there are still things that the public school sector does offer that is still appealing. And so Mr. Sanchez is going to talk about some of that in just a moment, and Ms. Duncan. But one of the things is the ESC services that this district does provide. And so what we've come up with is an a la carte menu. Most districts around the state are developing and coming up with basically an a la carte feed, where if you're a student and you need or want a certain class or a structure that we offer, then you can do that. But then there's going to be a fee attached to that for those that we don't get any FEFP money for. Again, it's a pretty standard thing that's happening. We knew that it was getting close for us to need to do it. Currently, we've had a couple inquisitions about it, but we don't have any students that are doing it, or even that we've told no to at this point in time. But we've got a feeling that because of the growing popularity of that homeschool piece, that we probably will start getting some students that want to either, do the specialty things like the ag programs or the nursing programs or physics at LaBelle High School or chemistry, the really higher level stuffs. Ms. White's going to specifically talk about what it looks like if a student needs services and they're receiving the FES scholarship.
So for me, with ESE students, we do receive a proportionate share through my IDEA grant that is specifically for those students who are receiving services in a parentally placed private school. And that meets a certain criteria, K-12, non-for-profit, and those are listed here. ACA, Clewiston Christian, and I currently this year, it's 24,000 is my allotment for that. It changes based on the number of students we have, and we have 16 students right now. That's pretty typically, I'm in that range between 20 to 24,000, and we will probably not need that. So I don't anticipate that parents are going to have to do that right now, but as things change, I wanted to go ahead and have that put in as we start doing the a la carte, so our services are outlined and they're there, and if we do exceed that, then they would have the option then to pay for the services. And so Mine would be based on, it's a fee for service hourly rate because it's a therapy service. And so it would be 75 for the speech language, occupational therapy was 65, and physical therapy would be
So,
65.
so essentially she gets $24,000 now to perform the services and they are doing it. But if it got to be more than the $24,000, then we have the ability then to charge fees for those services to cover our cost.
And I'm at about 9,000 right now, so I don't anticipate
Yeah.
that happening. But
Right, just as simple, we just wanted to put it in place in case we ever got there while we're in the process of doing these other ones.
All right, so the next part is, again, homeschool or privately placed students who are receiving that scholarship. If they wanted to come into an elementary school and take a said class, then they would be able to pay a certain fee in order to be able to come on site and take our classes throughout the day. Currently, we've had 0 requests in elementary to participate in those kinds of things, but then saying that, so there would be those options in the future.
We would do a structured contract, and take the payment would have to be made up front and stuff like that. And so we still have to flesh through those things, and we have time for that, but we just wanted to make sure you were aware of that as well.
In this slide covers the secondary a la carte course fees, and of course, as Mr. Swindle said, these fees are intended to help the district recover some of the operational, staffing, instructional, materials costs associated with providing these courses to students that are receiving the FES scholarship or privately educated. And then we also have a slight higher fee for CTE. I don't know if you want to expand on that, Ms. Goff.
So just typically, the cost of CTE classes are larger than a typical core class. And so we really just took what that average, we split the price you would have gotten an FEFP up and divided it by the class periods. At this time, we're just going to do a flat fee regardless of what the CTE course is. I think just for simplicity and based on interest, we can always adjust from there if we find that it becomes cumbersome to us.
And with that, that's the presentation. We are happy to answer any questions you may have.
Oh my God, I've been waiting to fuck.
Do we need a pencil on paper?
Maybe.
We're out of time.
Not even, Mr. It's Christmas, you have to be nice to me. So I want to go back to the slide for the non-funded expenditures for IPK.
Second slide, I think.
Okay, so when you were speaking of this, you said each class has to have 12 ESE and 8 Gen Ed for the IPK, the 3-year-olds, right?
Right now, yes.
Okay.
It was 10
It
and
was
10, we
10
had to
and 10,
increase
which
it.
is
Okay.
what the state recommends for an inclusion classroom. We just were running out of space and slots and we needed more for you.
Okay, so I'm trying to make sense of what I heard here. But they don't give you any funding for the 8 Gen Ed kids that they
Correct.
require for the
Zero.
inclusion model.
Correct, that's
Because
correct.
they're not required.
They're not required to attend those students.
But
if I run
for-
an inclusion class, yes, I have to have your mom. You're right.
so for the inclusion model, they require Gen Ed kids, but they're not going to pay you for it.
That is correct.
We would like to report them to the governor.
So if we did change, we wouldn't be able to call it an inclusion preschool. It would be a very
Very
exceptional
exceptionalities.
childhood special education.
Okay, because that's wild to me. All right.
And we have been doing that for years and years, so.
Just
you know,
eating the
it's
cost
really
on it to give it an
business.
inclusion model, but business is business.
Yep.
On the next one, the cost of childcare in Hendry County,
Mhm.
I'm looking at that we were talking about a $25 registration fee, and we've got 2 facilities, one's 100, another's 50. Are those for VPK classes, or
I
The
believe
First
that they are,
Baptist
yes.
is, yes.
is VPK, okay? And Harvest Academy does VPK too?
I don't.
I'm pretty sure
know
that was
about
VPK,
so.
yeah. But I can confirm that for you.
Okay, so those are little, do they have 3-year-old classes out there?
I do not think that they do have it for daycare, yes.
Okay, from daycare.
Mhm.
I would like to see some numbers on what 3-year-old classes, so
These
this,
are.
okay, these are the 3-year-old
yes.
classes and the VPKs are free?
Yes,
What-
because VPK, they pay a registration fee but this is based on 3-year-olds.
Okay,
They
okay,
have
so
a
we're looking
wraparound service in a lot of them, so like the VPK would be the morning
4
session
hours, and
pay,
then they pay
would
for the
the
wraparound.
other, the wraparound, and I have all of that on a
Yeah.
We just don't want to overload the, I do have that.
I love to be overloaded with information.
I have
It's
it.
just like helping me put the pieces of the puzzle together, like on my decision-making process and the
Yep,
comments
I'll
that I
share it with you.
make.
Yeah, we
So I
have
would
that.
like to see what the wraparound on the BPKs look like.
Yeah.
And so these are what we're looking at on 3-year-olds, just want to say.
Yes, ma'am.
So when we look at what it's not covering with the 3-year-old inclusions, like basically $814,000 a year.
Plus supplies, plus
Plus
transportation,
furniture,
plus
plus
city of the nurse
So,
impact fee.
and there's,
Over.
Food, I mean,
Like
So-
1.5 million, is that
This
what we're
is-
looking at?
there's
It's
two
very
parts
hard
to
to
it. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to juggle, do a great juggling act of finances and then what's best for students. So is a 3-year-old here,
It's not even, like, typically 4-year-olds is what's recommended for your,
BPK.
we need appropriate language models, we need
Yeah.
appropriate turn-taking conversational models. 3-year-olds, that's not their developmental level for those things.
the 3-year-olds
But we're
require,
taking
what do they
them.
require?
Yeah.
They require
They
special
require like
needs.
intervention.
So it's really detracting.
4-year-olds are optional, but the gen ed 3-year-olds are optional.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, that's right. And they're on a waiting list. Typically, we try to fill it with 4-year-olds first, but we have 20-plus 3-year-olds, like, it's a lot.
Who makes up the unfunded IPK gen ed constituency?
We have.
Where are we getting these kids? Is it like a
Some-
lotto
Some
or?
are our staff kids. We have 8 on each side of the district right now that are staff children.
So out of the 86 gen ed peers, we have 16 are staff.
Yes. And the rest community, they have to get on a waiting list. They call our department and we put them in order as we receive them.
So for like, say, the beginning of the year, do you like do a lottery, like you have the 3-year-old parents sign up, you do the lottery, and then you have a wait list after that?
3-year-olds automatically go to a wait list.
Okay.
4-year-olds go before them, and then once we staff all the 4-year-olds, then we start the list on the 3-year-olds.
Okay,
Fill the
so
spots.
when we go to the IPK general education peers as they compare to children slide, just based on the salaries, we're over $500,000 into the general fund on these salaries, and that's for something, for children that are not generating revenue for us. It's a lot of money. It's a hard sell to me because then the kids that we are, it's taking away resources from kids that are generating those funds. And when we talk about the other options that are being considered,
Next one.
have we, like, what are we talking about other options, like going to half days?
Well, we've
Or-
looked at all of those things as well. We still get no funding for that, so it's costing us a full-time teacher, a full-time para, but however we do that. What we're looking at doing is taking out the inclusion pre-K and making it that PE exceptionality, ESC students, 15 students, so that those students get the services they need. Those kids who are, the model for inclusion, the type of student has changed, right? And so we have had those classrooms where we had speech only in there, language only in there. We're getting very intense
severe,
kids,
yeah.
severe behavior concerns, nonverbal medical need, like we're getting more severe kids. So those kids are actually benefiting from VPK. A lot of those higher functioning kiddos have been going into the VPK program, and we're working with Mr. Chilada and Dr. Monday to make sure that they're getting in there, and we're supporting that with an ESC specialist that goes in and works with those, an itinerant pre-K teacher. And that has been going well, and we've been able to do more and more of that. And that's truly an inclusion model, right? That's what we would do in a K-12, like they're going into a gen ed classroom, right? And so that's what we've been doing more and more of because we have to, like the needs for those kids are so intense in that. So the model we're looking at is going to 4 classrooms, 15 students in a class on the LaBelle side, 5 classrooms here, 15 students in each class. And that leaves us 60-something slots on each side, to address the kids, the ESC students' needs.
I mean, this is unpopular in modern education philosophy, but I've always struggled with an inclusion model because, inevitably somebody's getting left behind and all that. And, I've seen it, and I wouldn't be opposed to a VE. They just they have very specific needs. And when you have those ones who, gen ed kids in that, like, it's just hard, it's hard to spread yourself then to meet the needs of, well, the different
Inclusion
levels.
is important, it's necessary, there are kids that benefit from that.
I agree.
But we are supposed to be offering a continuum of services.
I get it.
And we have not offered a self-contained kind of DE environment for those kids. So we really need to look at the continuum.
And we've had lots of
I'm
conversations.
not, I'm not
Yeah,
against,
no,
like, I'm not
I agree.
against it,
No.
because I mean, I understand the whole spectrum of needs of the, from the severe to the general ed kids. And, you know, like, what my feelings that it won't be popular with a lot of people is that you gotta, sometimes mix them all together is you're not meeting any needs, and you just gotta like really focus on.
Right.
And those 3-year-olds who are gen ed can catch up in the VPK, because the VPK's been outstanding here.
Right.
And so,
And we've had lots of conversations around those 3, 4, and 5-year-old students with intensive needs and how important it is to really address those intense concerns early so we can
Yes.
prepare them for kindergarten, so it's, that piece is more successful.
I just don't want anyone to think I'm against inclusion, because I am not against inclusion, I'm very much for it. I just agree with you.
Appropriate
Yeah,
inclusion.
appropriate, yeah, we need that continuum, yeah.
okay, and then let's move on to Montura.
Okay.
So I get a lot of, you know, that's part of my district. One of the issues that we had out there originally, and I understand like we're down to one classroom, there may be people who want to move their kids in. Do we have bus space for the kids? Oh, I see eyes and foreheads over there going from the transportation department.
Mr. Clay's
Well-
will make it work.
If we reduce our gen ed population in IPK, that could help with that. It might counterbalance some of that.
All right.
Truthfully.
So I'm worried about bus space, and I'm worried about if it's prudent to put those little ones on a bus with full-grown students.
Well,
They're already
addressing that.
from the other
Yeah.
schools. I mean, from Kelp, they would still, and some of them still come here if they have special needs, certain needs, they would still come to this early learning center from Montura. It's a long.
So we're doing it now.
They're doing it
Actually,
now. They're doing it now.
Have been all
And it is for
Alright.
kindergarten too, for sure.
Are we required to transport those children?
The ESC students online, yes, but VPK no.
VPK, no.
Okay.
So maybe that's something you look at.
Yeah, we're not required to transport the VPK, so.
But a lot of those parents, without transportation, those students wouldn't choose to participate in preschool. So we do feel like we would need that as an option for
You're-
those, because those are some of our neediest families.
Herein lies the conundrum of the juggling act, right? Because, well, I sincerely, and we as a team sincerely believe that some of the great academic rise we have is because of the great success of our VPK program and our IPK program and the special needs, you know, that we're servicing. So as you start waning some of those back, you know, you're doing less to set those students up for success in elementary school and then beyond. And so that's why we struggle sometimes with, cutting it out. You can cut it out. That's the easy business thing to do, because that's what's best for that child's education. You know, so that's where we struggle.
And then we pay for it a year later when they come into school. They can't stand in line, they don't know any letters and stuff like that. So how many students do we not, VPK, we get a limited number every year. How many students don't get to come at our request?
I don't think we have anybody currently on the waiting list. We've been able to fill all of the seats.
We've
with-
had years where we've had.
Correct, but we have all the students that have applied for VPK and VPK.
Didn't we collapse a couple of classrooms this year?
This year we did,
Yes.
yeah. Montura's not-
Yeah, we lost one at Montura last year because of.
And one here as well.
And one here as well.
Yep.
That's why we have room.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, like, we kept adding VPK classrooms over the last several years, and I think we finally found that sweet spot where we're filling all of the seats, not having excess, but not having open seats.
So the IPK will just become an ESC. Is that
Yeah.
my understanding?
Early childhood special
That is
education.
what we
Yes.
are proposing.
Yes.
And that can look different too. We've talked about that. It can be, we can have 3 of those with 1 inclusion if we wanted to go that route. But again, there's that cost factor that we're, discussing. But there's no set anything at this time. These are just, ideas that we have.
But there's no FEFP money for 3-year-olds who aren't
3 or
identified.
4-year-olds who are gen ed peers. Any gen ed peer in that class, we receive zero funding for.
Well, once they're 4 years old, why don't they get VPK?
They can if they choose to.
But they can't be an IPK.
But they can't be an IPK.
They have to go to the other group.
So do we have, I'm curious about Montero, do we have an SRO out there?
Sometimes. Well, and they're not required for pre-K.
There's a road
Or we- that's what will be my next question.
They're not required. We don't have one
They-
at the Cal either.
They do a good job of making sure there's a road deputy there during school hours, I believe, was our conversation, so they're always within, a quick shot of getting there.
Okay. I mean, because that's a little bit of a concern to me as well, if we don't
I would
have,
like to be the one, the little
we're limited on what protection we have with those guys out there.
playground
Yeah,
manager.
I mean, that's, especially in this day and age.
One
Yeah.
teacher, 2 paras,
Crazy.
one teacher, 2 paras in Montero?
One teacher, 2 paras, and a part-time. And
No
originally I
admin
had
for any of us.
an extra para out there as well, but when she resigned last year, I didn't replace her. And that's because nobody wants to sub for me out there. So if I have more than 2 people call in, guess who's headed out there? One of my staff members, right?
So in Montour right now, if you have PK class, right?
VPK. One VPK classroom. Voluntary preschool.
It gets to be alphabet soup.
I know.
It does.
Yeah.
So that one is funded through.
That is funded, that's FEMA funding.
Well, it's a voucher.
It's a different
voucher.
voucher. It's not-
but it's-
Well, what's outstanding?
But it's funded.
But there's additional costs just because it's out there,
Yeah.
not in a school setting. Thanks.
And I think we need to, like, what's funded, I think we need to speak a little bit about what's funded. Like, we are doing a full day program for those students, and the funding we're currently receiving is for.
Yes, so VPK revenues come in for a 3-hour-a-day program. So that's why I supplement with Title I and microfunds, so that we can have a full day program.
Well, and that brings up another interesting conversation, because we believe that Title I is safe moving into the next school year, but we do not feel the same way about the migrant piece. And so we may be, coming back with, some alternative thinking once we have that clear picture as well.
And even though Title I's safe, that doesn't mean that we don't get a reduction, right? Like, that's always a possibility, always.
Yes.
This is,
We're just waiting,
Just-
waiting patiently.
just repeating, 30% hard cut, not a 30% reduction cut, but a 30% hard cut. What the congressman told me. I hope he is misinformed.
So are you looking at doing it for the remainder of this year, or are we looking at next year? What are you projecting?
So we'll finish the school year. We're not going to do any changes now, but it will begin in August of 25 for that school year. But that registration for that starts in January. I'm sorry, 26, I apologize, yes. Yeah, we're not going backwards. So, but we need to know now, because the registration piece starts in January. And so in the January board meeting is where we would come back to you with an official paradigm laid out with all the fees, everything where it was very understandable. And we could use that to share with our parents and then move forward.
And we have people calling right now to be on the waiting list. They're trying to get on the waiting list now for next year, gen ed years.
So for VPK, I am not opposed to registration fees. And so when I'm looking at the attendance for the schools, and you see the most challenging attendance out of the Closton Early Learning Center, it reminds me of when Carson Turner and I used to do the special needs horse riding program. And when we would advertise, people would sign up to come, and they didn't come when it was free. But then I would charge them $10, and they had skin in the game, and they would come, and then we'd turn around and refund them at the end. But that $10, it's just something, bless you, something with, if that nominal buy-in, it just increased participation tremendously. So I'm not opposed to a registration fee.
While you're speaking about attendance, I'll just briefly speak on this for pre-K, IPK, inclusion pre-K. Those gen ed peers attendance is not great. So it is not being, we're there to educate kids. It is not a daycare. It is not a babysitting service. and the attendance is drop them off because we want to go somewhere today, but tomorrow I'm going to keep them home. Like, it's not great, the attendance of those students, and that interrupts the learning of the students who need structure, who are my ESC students, who need that.
I get that, like the
consistency.
level of structure and what's needed, and honestly, like, I said this to Mr. Swindle, I'm just speaking unpopular opinions over here, let's just get this party, let's wrap up this year strong, is if you don't have a 3-year-old, like 3-year-olds still, like, I'm like, it's hard to put them in a institutional, educational setting, in my opinion. I mean, I think they need play, I think they need to be, yes, and teachers need a nap, people who have 3-year-olds need naps, it should be mandatory. You know, I know the ones who have the higher needs, they do need those intensive therapies, that's so crucial at that time. But if you have those gen ed kids, to me, that is not as pressing. I think their needs are a lot different as a 3-year-old as opposed to what the 4-year-olds need to prepare for kindergarten entry at 5. I mean, that's how I live my life. I'm only just saying this is the choices I've made for myself. I feel like, you know, there's research to back that up, but I'm not opposed to VE only classes either, because that's a lot of money that could be, going to revenue producing students and classrooms.
We're continuing to increase, so the need for extra classes is going to continue to go that route, more teachers, more parents.
That's really why we're having the conversation, because that's the increasing part of it.
And those kids in pre-K are moving to K, right? And so that need increases. So it's a continuum that's going to keep.
Correct.
Snowball effect, correct, yes.
So speech, OT, PT has always got an FELP percentage. Way back when that's the way funding was done.
We receive funding through IDEA for, that covers services. So part of our OT, part of our SLPs are paid out of the IDEA funding for their salaries, yes.
Okay.
I get a contracted amount in that I can contract out. And then also in that grant, I have a proportionate share amount, which is specific to be used for students who are parentally placed in a private school setting. I can only use it for that.
Well, and maybe it's not that way anymore, but the FEFP for speech, a regular student would get 1, and then
The matrix of service.
the matrix of services, and then somebody else would get 1.2 or 1.3. Is that still part of the funding?
We have a matrix of services, that money comes in through our general EFC funding and based on students' matrix scores. And that goes from $6,000 we might get for a student up to $32,000 we could get for a student. But that same said student could also need behavior support, could also need a para, could also, all these other services that are way above that $32,000.
Well, my question was, like, if the child just needs language therapy or speech therapy,
Yes.
they would still qualify under that matrix of services.
Yes, and they would probably come in at the $6,000 range.
They sure would, but and I know y'all know this or not, but the matrix of service barely covers a pittance of what the true cost is.
Well, I'm
And so,
sure, but
so there's still an exponential cost that we bear and you bear, well beyond what that. Now, and I will say that, we cried and flopped last year. DOE sent a team down here to walk with Ms. White, and she put together an incredible, book of the students where she laid out the disability, what the matrix of service paid, and then what we paid, what it cost us. And she had some, I think, one student, we took in $26,000, and she showed where you as a school board paid over 80 grand for that child last year in expenses. And that was just one. And so it's an amazing cost, and we nowhere near get covered what it cost us.
And we've been doing that since that child was 3 and he's now 12. That's just for.
And it will continue.
That's right. There'll be another
Until they're
biggest place.
22.
That's exactly
Yes, sir.
right, 100%. And that category of cost is growing on us exponentially.
Well, my question was, if somebody's from out of district and they're getting the speech services, can we still get the FEFP from them, plus the IDEA money for them?
If they are private school,
Private school.
they take that money with them.
Right.
And we get no funding.
Okay,
So the only funding I get are for ESC students who are parentally placed in a private school setting that meets the criteria for that K-12 nonprofit. And that funding that I outlined is to be used specifically for them for ESE services. And then after that is exceeded, then we no longer have to provide services or they have to pay for the service.
Is that money per facility or all?
It's all in one list.
Okay.
Yeah, all services.
Okay. I'm ready to move forward.
It's concerning, okay?
Let me say, Board, that we brought this specifically tonight so that you could have a glancing blow of it, you could see it. If you have further questions, please, we want that. So if you have other thoughts, please let us know. We intend to be back in front of you in January with a proposal for you to vote and to adopt for the coming school year. So thank you for your.
I just have
your
a couple
opinions.
more. I'm gonna just a few more, a couple comments. On the ESE privately placed, these hourly rates, would this be one-on-one or the group setting?
It depends on the IEP and how it's written.
Okay.
Most of those are one-to-one because they're being seen at that site. A lot of that's being delivered teletherapy right now, and so they are assigned, somebody is prompting them to participate from that site.
And would that, like Medicaid and stuff, factor into that?
Not.
Medicaid payments or insurance, would you all accept insurance for any of that?
We
Okay.
would not be able to do that. They would be using their FTE money to pay back for those services.
And so I just want to speak about à la carte, and I want to say that à la carte model, super proud of it. Like if I ever look back on my contributions and my family's contributions to education, I want to take a victory lap on this one because my son was the first student in Florida we pioneered this model with working with public school to do à la carte learning, and arguably in all the places that are have voucher programs in any state. I want to say thank you for stepping up to this model. I think, a long time there was a narrative about it was school choice versus public education. And I think that this is breaking down a lot of barriers where we can all just, this shows a tremendous effort to work together for the betterment of students. And I love this. I'm super excited that Hendry County is going to offer this. It just personally it just means a lot. I think that you might be wildly surprised at the folks who will take you up on this, and what a wonderful resource it would be, and also a way to bring back scholarship money that was not captured and went with scholarship students back into the school district. So I just want to say thank you for that. And just my final question is, are we, the Hendry County School District, going to be a direct payment provider?
Mr. Adams, we've been having conversations. You're it.
You will?
Yeah.
Okay, all the hearts, love that, thank you. I think that is going to be a tremendous advantage. You don't have a lot of that direct payment providers. Otherwise, parents would have to stroke the check and then go through the reimbursement process, and you want to talk about that's brutal. And it can stretch on for months and months, so parents are stroking a check for $5,000. It could take months for them to get that back. And so I know it's going to be cumbersome and a lot of work and the invoices and everything, but thank you. I'm very pleased.
Thank you, Board.
See, it was worth it, so I could say something nice.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you, team. Great job.
Sounds like an awful lot of work.
It's a lot. It's a lot. They have been working on it for a while.
Sounds like an awful lot of work. All right, we will move on to citizen comment. Mr. Superintendent, do we have any citizen comment this evening?
I have none at this time.
All right. Having no citizen comment, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Does any board member have anything on the consent agenda they would like to pull and move to an action item?
I'm going to pull H for, just pull it. We will not move it back down. I'm just pulling it from the agenda.
We'll move item
Mr. Chairman,
H. Yes, ma'am.
I would like to pull item K for an action item.
Would you like to pull it and move it to an action item?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I thought she said A.
Okay.
I was like, what? Why you want to pull minutes? But okay.
I wasn't even, I couldn't even hear you talking down there. I was like, yeah, I'll take the minutes.
All right, so we'll pull K, and that will become action item C. Anybody else? All right, Mr. Superintendent, do we have your recommendation for the consent agenda, sir?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I recommend that you approve the balance of the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Busey, second by Ms. Nelson. Any further discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. All right, we will move on to action item 5A. Looks like it's a hearing.
Yep, it's a hearing. This is just for us to offer any public comment on action item 5A. So it's just a quick open for comments and close. That's all we have.
We'll open this hearing. Do we have any public comment?
It's just a hearing, and then the vote is for the.
Hearing no public comment, we will close this hearing.
These are separate,
Yeah, it is separate, but that one you do call for.
Got it.
Okay, so we need your recommendation on item A, Mr. Superintendent?
There's no vote on A.
Oh,
It was just a hearing only for
Just a
comment.
hearing only,
Yeah.
okay.
Open hearing, ask for public comment.
We need to adopt these. There's 3 policies that were updated. So
On
that
A?
would be- Yes.
So we do need a motion?
Yes. We need a motion and a vote.
Okay.
On the hearing or on B?
On both.
Okay, so,
There's
So for the hearing
3
over, Ed, go.
policies on the hearing that were updated. So we open it.
okay, so we did public comment, no public comment. Now I recommend your approval of the 3 updated policies.
To adopt the
Oh,
3
yeah.
policies.
for
All right,
action
so
item
moved.
5A.
Motion by Ms. Houston, second by Ms. Nelson. Do we have any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we'll move on to action item 5B.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, as you well know, artificial intelligence is creeping it, I shouldn't say creeping, is catapulting its way into our school system, and in a good way. We have some incredible tools that we are starting to use, and they are making learning better, and they're preparing to teach better. They're making our lives as administrators better. However, as we move into using those, we want to make sure we do so responsibly and in accordance, to certain statutes and guidelines. So we are beginning to lay the groundwork for policies of the expectations to and not to with regard to AI. And this policy is the beginning phases of that. We may see more in the future because the world of AI constantly changes, how it's used and where it's used. And we want to embrace that. We want to use it. And we want our students and teachers to use it to enhance their education process. So with that, I move to approve action 5B to advertise the AI policies.
So moved.
Second. All right, motion by Ms. Houston, seconded by Reverend Brown. Do we have any discussion? Hearing no discussion.
Wait a second.
Oh,
Where did we get that information? Who wrote this?
Our team wrote it.
I just wrote, I'm trying to read through it, it's very good, I didn't know whether our attorney team did that.
We fleshed it out, the attorney, we always give it to the attorney to make sure that we're legal in doing the things that we do. So yes, everyone's sort of weighed in. And
It looks really solid, it looks like people spent some time.
they probably AI'd it, honestly.
We may have.
Yeah.
Definitely got some help.
We've got.
Well, whoever gets recognition, they
Yeah.
did a good job.
AI did great job, yeah.
We're expecting some more legislation on AI use coming out of the state, but then, of course, we have the feds, an executive order from the president who was saying that basically states don't have a right, so I'm sure there's gonna be a fight there, but this is good policy for meantime to guide how we'll be using it.
very good. Okay. You done that?
I'm deliberating.
All right.
Call the question.
All right, all in favor of the approval, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to action item 5C, which was the pilot for the mental health program. Mr. Superintendent?
Yes, sir, just a quick background on that. Clayful is a program that is for students with disabilities to do, not students with disabilities, it's for mental health for students that are in situations where they need help, mental health for stress or for varying needs that they may have. Ms. White and myself and Dr. Staley, I think, went and presented to our district, to the Future Makers a year ago, so now roughly. And out of that, basically, we were awarded this trial with this company. And so this is the product of that. Ms. White's been working with them almost a year to kind of mold into what would best suit the needs of the mental health of our students. And this online platform is a result of that. So that kind of gives you an overall arching where it came from and what we did and why we are where we are.
Is there a cost for that? I couldn't find the cost.
So it is paid for through the grant. There is some cost, but the grant, that was the purpose of the presentation. And the grant basically is offsetting the cost.
Thank you.
So having said that, I move you approve action item 5C, which is the pilot for mental health program Claypool.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Shamrock, seconded by Ms. Nelson. Do we have any discussion?
Yes, sir. So Ms. White and I had a previous discussion, public discussion about the funding of this with Future Makers and Second Muse. I was able to get online and look at the, I'm familiar with Future Makers work. Second Muse, I was a little concerned, deeply concerned actually, about what that company, what their goals were, what they were saying about their team, what the focuses were. I felt like, what Second Muse was in alignment with was not what our legislature laid out as appropriate for K-12 students. When I look at this, and I came to the town hall meeting, was it last week?
Yes.
And Ms. White got up and spoke about it, and I asked her some questions then. And so correct me, I'm open to correction here. So this is a platform, the way it was described, where a student will either have an app or they can address it via, or access it through
Their devices.
their
Chromebook.
Chromebook platform. And so they can reach out directly and have conversations with a mental health therapist.
It's a coach who's supervised by a licensed mental health.
Okay, so a coach supervised by a mental health therapist. Now, and I said, well, how do they get access? Because if you look at this front page, these are their kids who are going to have access to it.
All students.
All students. But she said it was an opt-out, like all students will have access to it with the option to opt out.
For secondary.
Secondary.
Middle and high.
Okay. An opt-out model. I don't know any nice way to say this, but if it was my student and they opted in and because you don't know what these students are saying, because when I read the contract, I don't see anything about relaying any of this information that is being told to these coaches to the parents and parental rights. Like if you're taking your kid for mental health therapy, you're taking your kid to the dentist, you choose the provider. If that's a minor child, you know what's going on there. That information's relayed back to you. And in an opt-out model, if my kid got online at the school district and had a conversation with a coach about some things and I wasn't made aware of that, there would be some hellfire coming down. Like I would be furious. And I want to, the contract says it's opt-in.
We can do both.
So, I reviewed this contract as well, and if you look at 3.3, the customer represents that customer students are at least 13 years of age and have obtained legal consent of legal guardian prior to any use of the platform. So,
It's opt-in
can you
only.
explain that to me? Why?
So we have the option, and that's how we requested it, because often, like, we're not getting things back, we're not getting the stuff we need to be able to move forward. And we felt that when we did this with Medicaid and different things, we got a better response that way. But we can do it either way. That is not a problem to do that. that they are very flexible in how they do it. They offer different options. We had discussed that as, from our district, we felt like that would have been the way to approach it, but they're not opposed to doing it the other way. And they have forms and all the same things to do that.
Because the contract says opt-in only, which I think is the appropriate way, because if a parent says it's okay, that's honoring parental rights.
Yeah.
There's legislation about honoring parental rights, but if it's, I mean, I'm telling you, it would be a major situation if my kid reached out, was having some kind of conversation. I'm not privy to this. I didn't get the paperwork or whatever that came home to opt out of it. Like, it would be a major litigation situation. And they've had tons of this happening in Florida, and they do litigate that. So I would want to see that as an opt-in only platform.
That's very easy.
And that's what the contract says.
Contract says that.
The
Yes.
contract is opt-in.
But we had discussed both options, and so that's, I have no
Just
problem.
remove
Yeah.
it. Yes,
Just opt in.
we said opt in.
And I'm also not comfortable under section 10, like with publicity. I can't, I hate using, like having pilot programs or something where we're using either grant money or taxpayer dollars, and we're participating in these programs, and then they go and like publicize that relationship with the district. Like, they should be able to stand alone. I don't think our kids and our district should have to participate in that.
My view on that is using it to help other districts, because I'm in a situation where I knew nothing about this company, and if I had not had the Tech Navigator and those people came together to help me find this, I didn't have the time to research. They presented me with 30, 40 products that met our criteria and what we were trying to do. And so I want to help other districts, and that's a way I feel like we can share our data out. There's no identifiers, there's no anything, you know, it would just be, how did that work for our district for those students? How many students utilized the program and things like that? That's my
To
take
me,
on
that's
that.
like, that's, we care about Hendry County, and Hendry County first, Hendry County only. And I just, you know, it calls into question to me, like they said that they're anonymous data, but they're still data mining our kids. That's weird.
We have to collect data to know if things work or not work, and that's how we make decisions. So I don't know a way around that with anything we do. Like, everything we do, we collect data on our students. That's part of the.
Every day when we test, we're collecting data. Every day we have data.
Yeah. It's us, and they're not, you know, like, how are we collecting data from this and using this, and how, you know, and then and what do we do when we get something that is, you know, not the student, like, I'm suicidal, I'm gonna harm myself, anything like that, because you're a mandatory reporter on that.
Yeah.
But for instance, I have a relationship with a woman named January Littlejohn up in Leon County. Her kid went to school, talked to mental health counselors and stuff. The kid wanted to transition. They were helping this kid put a plan in place, all of this, and it never got back to the parent. And then when it finally did get back to the parent, it all broke loose. And it has become the model for national lawsuits and legislation changes. And so, you know, it's that including the parent in that conversation, because if there is even a thing where the kid has anxiety about this, anxiety about that, well, you can't go and get that kid medical help or any kind of intervention. So how are we including the parents in that to help their child at home too? And I just think there's got to be brutally transparent with parents, because these are minors.
Yeah. To address that specific example, we did ask that protocol. It was part of our criteria that they do not address that in any specific way or provide guidance on that they redirect back to the adults. The student, they tell the student that is the conversation, who's a trusted adult, and they try to identify that, and that they have a protocol for that. I can get that from them. But that is one of our specific questions. They also have different levels of behavior that is reported to them. So a level 1 behavior is something that we may not get notified on, but as it moves up the chain, and that the counselors can be notified, administrators are notified, they get an email alert that there's a concern at that level. If it gets to a self-harm situation, they actually contact the authorities, and they're available for those students till 1 a.m., where we're not. And so we're hoping that those kids would reach out in a situation like that where they couldn't access an adult that they may trust, but they have someone to go to. They also will contact the caregiver first and make the call for a wellness check.
So how do they have the information on the caregiver?
RSIS system, so they would have access to the parent information and contact phone number.
Then they have to opt in, so
Remember,
they have
it's
to
already-
provide certain
right.
information.
Exactly, they're consenting to that whenever they're opting into the program.
I'd like to see,
It is a pilot. Also, it doesn't mean forever. So I'm just putting that out there. It's a pilot for us to try it. If the data see how it works, doesn't work. If it's a nightmare and people hate it, then we don't do it. You know, we're looking at, does this help kids? And in our area, there are kids that we can't serve overnight. Like our staff cannot do it. They're right. We get emails on GoGuardian and Fortify and different things, and our staff at night are receiving those and having to work in the middle of the night, call, try the authorities. So it's another outlet for helping kids
And
get safe.
mental health is another area like the special needs that is growing exponentially. And no one can service all the needs that we have. Some very legitimate concerns with regard to making sure that the parents are informed and have the right to understand and know. I don't doubt that at all.
And we did talk about, like, they get flyers on it, we're gonna do a rollout where they'll receive information on it ahead of time. I'm going to talk about what it does and send that out. So it's not just like they're gonna receive a piece of paper. We're gonna post things, blast things, send things out via email, call outs, so that they're understanding what it is before they start.
How long is this pilot program?
For the remainder, it'll be from middle of January, end of January to the end of the school year.
What happens with that information that's collected after the end of the pilot?
That date is for our district to review and determine if we wish to move forward with them or not in the future. And if so, I have to be able to establish funding elsewhere to provide that. Which I do have some options for that. There are some grants that are specifically for this need, and it does meet the criteria.
You're already working on that. Mr. Chairman? Yes, I'd just like to add, you guys have had 2 cases in Henry County where this data shows that a program like this being available to those students might have prevented those actions. Because like she's trying to say, we don't have anything here in Henry County for after-hour services. Okay, and these kids are struggling and they're looking for someone to reach out and talk to. And sometimes their parents are not as good as other parents and are not available, right? So those parents may understand that and allow their kids to participate in programs like this. So the kid does have somebody professionally trained to talk to. And there's 2 of our kids that the data shows that maybe if we had something like this, we could have prevented those deaths. Just putting that out there. And you know, I just don't know if the concerns outweigh the benefits of saving 2 children. Just to be honest with you.
Sure. Thank you.
I appreciate that comment. What I would like to see, if I were to support this, is an amendment to the language that says that they are going to be in compliance with Florida statutes and regarding like parental rights, because I didn't see that in here. It talks about like,
Okay, you want to specifically reference the chapter.
I want it to like be in line with, this is what we're not going to be talking about. Like, I just want it to align with Florida statutes on mental health.
It's aligned with the Florida statute, just doesn't specifically point to it, which I'm fine with putting that.
I'd like to see that amendment, so we're absolutely clear on that. And I'm unhappy, as I understand it now, with anybody, if my kid had like a level 1 issue and they were talking with that, like, let me know so I can help. And it's that communication with the parents, parent rights. I mean, there's legislation on parental rights, like.
And they can request it, they'll give us an entire transcript if they're that interested in that. Most of the time, it's things like, I'm stressing because so-and-so said, was gossiping about me. Those are level 1 behaviors. Like, they're things that, you know, happen every day in the school. Or I'm stressed out about this test, and I just need somebody to talk through that. Like, those are really the level 1 type behaviors. But those are things they may not share with anyone otherwise, you know.
So, Ms. White, I have a question. When is the pilot program supposed to start?
The spring.
The end of January.
So we'll have another board meeting before then?
Yeah, I can set, like, we are not rolling it out to, we have talked and trained our administrators and school counselors. We intend to train school staff, so they're aware and familiar with the program, the first week we come back. And then we have not set a timeline because we're going to get consent from parents, and that's gonna take 2 to 3 weeks. So we're looking at the end of January to actually roll it out for students.
I ask because I think it's important that we have an agreement before it starts getting rolled out.
Yes.
And I haven't heard any discussion from other board members if your opinions are in line with Ms. Buson's. I don't know if you were wanting to approve this as a board, we could approve as is. We could approve contingent upon the inclusion of the language with regards to parental rights. You wouldn't see it again, but your vote would be contingent on me adding that in there. But it's the board's decision whether or not you want to approve it as is or approve it conditionally. So I guess the easiest thing would be to call it to a vote as is. If it, well, I don't, then it would die if you vote no. So just think to yourself.
So amend the motion.
Yeah.
Well, there's not a motion at this point.
Well,
So
there's
what-
no motion.
So,
No, there was a motion and a second, and then this is the discussion.
I'm sorry, correct, there was a motion. See, as you could amend the motion to add the language about parental rights, the state, it's specifically stating the parent rights statute in there, and then that could pass, and then that would.
We need
Okay,
to amend the motion before the original motion is voted down.
Correct.
okay, so I'd like to move to amend the language to include statutory language about Florida's parental rights laws.
So we have a second on that?
Second.
Seconded by Reverend Brown. All right, so on Mrs. Buson's amendment. So, do we have any further discussion on this topic as it is stands at this point with the amendment? Does it have to be done tonight, or is it, time limit on it?
It is better tonight so they can move forward and get paperwork done and notify parents and get the forms for the opt-in and things like that ready. It would be better on administrative side if we could get it done tonight.
So the only question I have is, and it might be in the state statute, I don't know. In the event that a child is reaching out to somebody because it has to deal with their parent, and they don't want their parent to know, is that in the state statute, so they still have to tell the parents because they're seeking help and advice, or how does that work?
They're seeking help. If they came to public safety in reference to a concern about their parent, public safety and mental health is not required to notify the parent of that conversation. But if they came to a mental health professional in reference to something their parent may be doing that may become abusive or so forth, the mental health professional is required to notify law enforcement, but not the parent, because the parent then becomes the issue.
And that's not what I'm trying to, like, situations like that is not what I'm trying to circumvent. I'm just, you
I
know,
think it's a fair question.
I just
Yeah,
want to
it
make
is
sure
fair.
that
No,
we
it's fair.
weren't
Yeah.
doing that, and then it gets right back to the parent anyway, and they're trying to, we're trying to help the child, and
that's fair.
that we're not setting them up.
They are mandated reporters, as all of us would be in that situation. So if they're in a harm situation, they are mandated to report, but not to the parent, right? They report to the DCF agency or.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what I wanted to make sure, is that we're not setting them up that way, and then, we just put them in a bad situation, right?
And there'll be parents who do not want their child to have these services because of those reasons, and that's
Right.
unfortunate, but that is the way.
Those parents have a special place.
We also supply all of our students with a hotline that they can call at any given time without parent consent or with, so it's out there anyways. They already have a suicide hotline that all our secondary students are required to be supplied with by the state. So that's on the back of their
That
IDs.
land is-
Very good. All right,
So wait, before we move to a vote, just so we're clear for the record, I'm going to amend the agreement to include reference to the Florida statute, which is chapter 1014 on parental rights. The publicity provision that Board Member Houston had an issue with was not addressed in the amendment. So that will remain, just so we're clear, unless there's further discussion needed on that.
Think that sound right? All right.
So it'll be amended first.
So all in favor of the amendment? Say aye. Aye. All opposed to the amendment? Say aye. Or nay?
All right, now vote, no, we'll have to vote on the amendment.
This one was a group effort here, boy.
So now we
Dragging
will,
this one across the line.
now we will vote on the amended motion. So all in favor of the.
Hold on, what? What
No,
do we?
no,
amendment.
now you're voting on approval of the contract as amended.
Okay.
Lord have mercy.
Get my language right.
Second.
On what she said.
Good. So moved and seconded.
So motion by Mrs. Nelson, seconded by Mr. Sammadike. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Well,
That was easy.
okay. We will move on to old business now.
Mr. Buson's going to give us a quick update on the current status of the LHS project.
We are at the very end stage of the permitting stage. We're still waiting on approval from a few different entities. Again, we are at the very end of that. We should know any time in the very near future. Our earth removers are staged and ready to move and mobilize. OAK and their group and their construction are ready to mobilize and get on campus and start moving earth and getting where we need to be. So we are very close to getting started on 815 Helms Road.
What permits?
Pardon?
Which
Set a
permits?
date for the official groundbreaking yet?
Jubilee. That's out. There's a question. Which one do you want me to answer?
And we got two questions going on, apologize. We'll come back. Yeah. Go ahead.
We are working on a minor permit with the Hendry County engineer for traffic patterns. And we are also waiting on some South Florida water management permits. The major one is our, just the on-site. We can wait to have the off-site and also the water. But the most important one is the on-site permit. And that is at the very top.
We hope-
Should know any day.
We hope that we can reach out to you as a board by Friday with good news and say, great news, the on-site permit has been approved. We can officially start mobilizing and turning soil. So hopefully by Friday, we can send that message out to you guys.
Fantastic.
Second question was,
Official groundbreaking.
today, Ms. Bass and Mr. Buson led a phenomenal meeting along with our great IT folks and the OAK team. And we have put a pin on March 10th, Tuesday at 10 o'clock. We will be doing the groundbreaking. That is the date as of now. We would love for all of you to go ahead and reserve that date and time and bring
March the 10th. At what time?
March 10 at 10. So we want to give them plenty of time to be moving some dirt, make it look like a construction site and stuff like that. So,
Oh, okay, so it's not the official start.
no, they'll be started. You'll see machinery out there. We didn't want to go to an open field again. We wanted to go to a construction site when we did the groundbreaking, so.
So that way they can have all our backhoes lined up.
Yeah, that's what I told her. I said, we want machinery lined up. We want all that stuff. Yep.
10. I wondered.
Yep.
For us
Is
to
it
run?
10 a.m., right?
10 a.m.
Okay.
What I'm talking about.
Okay.
No, about a date
I wanna
that's
get
not
a
on
whole
what I'm talking about.
Francisco, Emily, you guys ready? The next any further questions about LHS?
So, yes, I do have one.
Okay.
I know the architect was a bit of a holdup. Have we straightened the architect out and sped them up?
If you'll notice, Mr. Buson has no non-gray hairs left. So if that answers your question.
Thank you.
We're still working through architect and engineering platforms to secure all the final information. So
Okay.
it's and it'll keep going. We'll need them all the way to the end. So for the next 2
I
years,
got new glasses and I can't even read this.
architectural updates, engineering updates, working with contractors and things like that.
Okay, don't worry about it.
Okay.
We can email it to you tonight.
All right, we will move on to old business, land rack update.
Yes, good evening, everyone.
Okay, I see.
So, long story short, we are pretty much completed with our land rack project. But we're gonna go through, so railroad and underground permits, all 34 have been completed as of October 2nd. Construction is completed, so our underground construction phase, both fiber and pipe have been installed, $265,000 213 feet completed for each, so a lot. Building entries, these are our sites. So there's 14 different sites. Construction at the individual school and district sites are complete, so you can look at, I know it's kind of small, and I apologize for that, I just tried to fit most things on one page. So if you look at the different sites, for existing proof, I know there's some language on there that may not be as common, so that basically means that the ducts and conduits have already existed at some of those sites, so they didn't have to work as hard to install the fiber. And then the riser built sites, they had to construct a new pathway for the fiber. And then the completed ones have been complete. So they're all pretty much complete. I don't know if Francisco, you want to talk a little bit more about it?
Yeah. So really now, Lantel was here last week with all the fiber enclosures, with everything in place. They were testing. I was trying to coordinate with Willie to have, he has a little adapter, Mr. Sammerdyke, I think you would love this.
Yes.
When he's able to pretty much tone from where he's at the data center all the way to Clewiston High School to even, LaBelle, to some of the LaBelle High School. So I was trying to coordinate that, it just didn't fall into place. But long story short, yeah, everything's already there in place. It's ready to be lit. We're just walking through final details as far as some finalization on paperwork, finalization on, we're gonna try to get WANRAC to monitor our network too. So we're gonna get just pretty much now just the final details of the project. So whenever everything is said and done, they can wrap it up in a bow and turn it over to ACSD.
Yep, we have to do final system testing and, cut over to a new private network. So that's last steps. I know that it won't be lit till July 2026, and you're probably wondering, why can't we just light it now, right? It's because we are still in contract with Lumen, CenturyLink for our WAN, so that's why we're waiting to finish out our contract.
Yeah, in this case, we don't want to double dip. Because
Yes.
the moment, in the literal instance, we put a light and we get service through, they're like, where's my money, Francisco? I'm like, oh, well, Jason, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So so we did finish a few things before schedule, so as we're trying to get it to where we can turn it on service a month before, just to make sure, see how everything behaves, how everything is looking like. So it's really a lot of the geeky stuff, but I promise I'll try to make it fun for you guys one way or another.
Just make it work.
Yes. Do y'all have any questions?
Well, remember last week I was in your office?
Yeah, we gave you the grand tour.
I got the grand tour of IT, and we discussed, happened to be there, and IT was down.
Yes.
So that was pretty interesting.
Yes, we do have a lot of fiber cuts, so
So that should be eliminated with this, pretty much, right?
It won't be eliminated fully, no. So our WAN is different from the internet.
Correct.
So I think Francisco explained it a little bit last time he talked about WAN-RAC,
Yeah.
but why don't you explain it again with
Yeah.
the analogy, because it
Yes,
might
ma'am.
be
Yes,
easier to
ma'am.
understand.
So the best analogy I can use is our traffic. It's just like whenever we're driving into big cities, we think of our packets when we go out to the internet. Let's see it as cars. So with what WANRAC is doing, they're essentially building all the highways internally from our data center here in Clewiston to all of our schools. Because our schools, the way it's all connected, it goes from the school site location to our data center here at the, let's say, the sub office, and then from here it goes out to the internet. So what WANRAC did is they pretty much gave us that scalability from our data center to our schools, where we can increase going back to the lanes from 5 to 100 lanes. That's 100 gigs. So where the cuts happen, it's pretty much with our internet service provider. It's Lumen. Essentially, those cuts, my best analogy I can say is that it's I-95, correct. To go out to the internet, what happens is when Lumen is experiencing a cut, their connection that provides us internet service, we get severed off, and that's where we experience our outage. So what we've been trying to do is, myself, Emily, with a few other vendors, we've been trying to get talks about we can't mitigate cuts, but how do we reduce the impact of these outages? We have to come up with something. So we've been talking to a couple of ISPs. Hey, here's what's happening. Here's what.
Internet service providers.
Yeah, here's what the district is suffering. Ultimately, the fact that It sucks. We have to go, we show face to the schools, hey, I apologize, but we're definitely, trying to get something in motion to help reduce that. So, right now it's in the very, very genesis.
Stages, yeah.
Yes, just having conversations on what ISP can provide us, the SLA, the service level agreement that they're promised as a almost 99.9% uptime, as well as, something that's resilient, where it's not like, all right, well, Francisco, you got to cut out in Georgia, and now you're down for the whole
Just what happened
thing.
that day.
Well, that's what I was
Yeah.
asking. We've had Miami,
Yes.
and near Atlanta, we have a cut in Atlanta.
That-
Holy smoke, how does that impact us?
So right now, pretty much all major networks, their backbone is fiber. So a lot of these ISPs, these internet service companies, what happens is they have terminals that stretch out. Fiber can run for miles and miles. Well, most network engineers, they call it kilometers, for kilometers and kilometers long. So essentially a cut that happens out in Miami would in fact affect us. Vice versa also.
Well, and the one in Georgia, it was a leased fiber from Comcast, actually, that
Correct.
CenturyLink or Lumen was leasing, and that got cut, and that's what affected them. Yeah.
Correct. So a lot of them, what will happen is they'll piggyback off of other service providers, and then if they end up having an issue, that's where the resilience comes in. They try to have failovers, like if one service goes down, then you'll be routed to the other. So essentially, that's what we're trying to find a way to have pretty much have these Lumen outages, Lumen nightmares, and gravitate to something that's more resilient and more.
Yeah, so we are exploring our E-rate options. As you know, with E-rate, we get 90% off on our internet. So we are looking into a secondary incoming connection. So that's, if we have that secondary incoming connection, we can still have CenturyLink, but when they go down, when they get a cut, we will reroute the other secondary connection to cover all of the schools. So it is something that we are looking into.
Flip switches will keep on.
Yep, that's
So
what we're
like
gonna
a
do.
generator
So-
backup.
Correct.
That is
But
correct.
we can't use that language with E-rate, so, yeah, it's gonna be, basically, the secondary incoming connection will cover the LaBelle schools, and then the Lewiston schools will be covered by CenturyLink. But then when one side goes down, we can route them to cover all schools.
Yeah, and the amazing thing about that, so with WAN rack, the fact that we're able to have the scalability, it's already there in place. So when our internet service provider says, hey, Francisco, you can have 15, 20, 30 gigs download, I'll be going crazy off the wall, but that our backbone would already be there. We would already be able to pretty much have that traffic flow through all of our schools.
Yeah.
With Lumen, we're stuck at a certain gig, and if we want to increase that, then again, they'll be Francisco is
It's
my
more
money.
money,
Yes,
yeah.
and I'm like, no, you haven't provided us our uptime. Like, I think we need to have a different conversation.
So we are looking into the fiber fence. We know that it is affecting the district, and we know how important it is to have reliable internet. So we are looking into it, and hopefully we can find a solution by the end of the school year.
Thank you, that was a great presentation.
Thank you.
I really, and by July.
Yes, July.
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
Oh, it's for sure, July, for sure.
All right,
Turn it
all
on.
right.
I like the confidence. I love it.
For sure, 100%. So they finished earlier than we anticipated.
That's correct.
So then you'll be testing everything in June, making sure
Test
100%.
everything
When
before.
July comes,
Yes, sir.
we're live.
We're live.
I love it.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you. All right. So, move on, Madam Attorney, you have some updates for us?
I do. So I'm here to present on two important agenda items related to the procurement of food services. The first is the notice of rejection of all bids, and the second is a final order of dismissal of the protest that was submitted by SME. So we'll take each separately. I'll start with the notice of rejection of all bids. As you're aware, the district had issued an RFP for food services, and after the evaluation of all the bids, the contract was awarded to Sodexo, which was our required food service provider. However, a bid protest was filed by SME, which was the unsuccessful bidder. And under the law, the protest had to be the award process had to be halted in light of the protest and conformance with all the law while the protest was under review. So in order to avoid any disruption of food services for our students, we work closely with the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, which is FDACS, who approved a series of contract extensions with Sodexo under the existing contract. So it was a 6-month extension that was initially granted, and then subsequently a second 6-month extension, which would ensure that the services will continue through June 30th of 2026. We will need a new contract in place by July 1st, 2026 to ensure smooth transition of food services. So now, in response to the bid protest, FDACS has provided us guidance on how to move forward, and specifically, they've approved a course of action where we reject all of the bids under the existing award, or would have been the award, and issue a new RFP in accordance with the current FDACS guidelines. And this new RFP is hopefully going to be posted in January, and we anticipate bringing a recommendation back to the board by the May board meeting. We have a cushion built in to where if we needed to, and we were in a pinch, we could do it at the June board meeting, but the goal is the May meeting. So at this point, the rejection of all bids is before the board for approval, which is an essential step in moving forward with the new RFP process. And I recommend that the board approve this notice so we can proceed with reissuing the new RFP and ensure compliance with FDAC's updated guidelines. So that's the end of my presentation for that piece of it. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But otherwise, if the chair wants to call the board.
All right, so we have a motion on Madam Attorney's. Second. All right, we have a motion by Ms. Houston, seconded by Reverend Brown. Do we have any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. So now, moving to the next item that I have is the proposed final order of dismissal. This relates to what I just said. It's a final order of dismissal of SFP's protest. It's important that I note that SFP's protest was not only untimely, but also now it is moved since the board just rejected all the bids. Essentially, we're scrapping it and starting over, to put it in the most simple terms that I can. So by rejecting all the bids and reissuing a new RFP, we're effectively addressing the concerns raised in SFP's protest as the process is going to be restarted. And we have proper oversight and adherence to FDAC's guidelines, and therefore I recommend that the board approve the final order of dismissal for the bid protest, which allows us to move forward without any further legal challenges. In a nutshell, this is what resolves the protest. From the date of the final order, so say we stamp it for tomorrow likely, since it's 7 o'clock at night, there would be a potential for an appeal process within 30 days of that date of the final order. So that concludes my presentation on that piece, and I would answer any questions, but otherwise the chair can call it for vote.
Madam Attorney, has this piece that you are just outlined, has that gone before DOA, an administrative law judge?
So this will be submitted, and DOA would take it up if an appeal was filed, okay?
Do you anticipate SFE filing an appeal on this?
I can't say what they will do. It's my opinion, this is exactly what they've asked for.
Okay.
They were not happy with the award process before. This rejects all of the bids from your last vote. This dismisses the protest. Like I said, it's on two bases. The first being, it's our position that their bid protest was untimely, so that they wouldn't have been successful either way. But now there's a second component, which is really strong, that their bid protest is moot. We just rejected all the bids. I don't see any sufficient legal basis for them to challenge our decision, but any anyone can challenge anything.
Sure.
All right, that being said,
So we have a motion.
so moved.
Is there a second? Motion by Ms. Newsom, seconded by Reverend Brown. Questions? We have any discussion?
So, if they're gonna do a new RFP, and that's gonna come in a timely manner, I would assume, but we still have the summer feeding program. What are we gonna do with the summer feeding? Was a problem we had this year was, does the contract stay over for the summer feeding program?
So we have a second 6-month extension that was approved by FDAX that's currently in play. So right now, the old existing contract with Sodexo runs through June 30th. Any new contract with whoever gets the job would start July 1st. So there would be a smooth transition of services. There would be no interruption of food services, including the summer food program.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. So would the process be about the same? I mean, are we gonna set a criteria and then certain, not myself, but I was able to observe last time, and the presentation will be the same.
Same sort of process. There will be maybe different requirements. It's all approved by FDAX. And they haven't given us final approval. Mr. Adams can help me here, Mrs. Beatty at all. But we're waiting on FDAX to approve the RFP, and we're hoping to hear from them by, I think, January 8th or the first week of January after the holiday, I'm not sure, for them to get final approval so that we can post it and start reading the responses. And then we'll have the bid tabulations.
Who is FDAX?
FDAX is the Florida
Department
Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services.
So they'll help set up that criteria then?
Yes, they approve the criteria and they make sure that it conforms with the current guidelines, which the old RFP, is important for me to note to you, conform to their requirements. But, you know, it's always evolving and changing, so the current guidelines, our new RFP is going to conform to that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So now, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. So we will move on to board member business. Madam Attorney, do you have anything that you need to bring to the board?
No, I don't.
Superintendent?
I have a couple of things, and I'll be quick as possible. Number one, I'm going to record a couple of videos tomorrow, and one of those is going to be a holiday video to send out of all of our employees saying, you know, thank you, we love you, hope you have a good break, come, you know, be safe, see you in January, you know, rah type thing, and we love doing those. The other one is we're going to start an attendance challenge. We know that it's important for a student to be in school in order for a student to learn. And so attendance is important. Our attendance actually is tracking pretty well, but we want to push it higher. We want to do the best that we can possibly do. And basically what's going to happen is monthly, there's going to be for all students who have perfect attendance, there's going to be a drawing. We're going to put the names into a hat at each school and draw a name, and whoever the winner is going to win a $100 bill, basically. All right. And so we're going to do that. So I'm going to sponsor a month, and so if any of my colleagues on the board wish to also sponsor any of that, I'm certainly open to it and welcome to it. And so I'm trying to do it. We're going to do it without, you know, donations like ours and others, not FEFP or school dollars. So just letting you know that, and if you are interested in that, let me know, and I would be happy to make sure you come along with us and draw the names and reward those students for their great attendance. So just throwing that out. So you'll see those videos hopefully by the end of the week. I want to take just a moment too and do a quick year in review. We're at the last board meeting of the year. We're in the last 3.5 days of school, 2.5 days of school now in front of us, and just kind of review where we are. You know, just a couple of quick things that just kind of speaks to where I think we are as a school district. As you well know, this year we witnessed the record growth academically in Hendry County schools. Record performances by our students. I'm so proud of our students. I'm so proud of our teachers and our staff for making that happen. I couldn't be prouder as a parent, as a leader in the school, as a former teacher, and as a citizen of the growth that's happened. And so thank you as a board thank the great team that's here, thank our partners, they helped make that happen, and thank everyone who had a part of that. Our Digital Academy of Florida, has had some trying times. They now also are trending in an incredibly positive way academically. And so overall, Hendry County Schools, our brick and mortar as well as our online school, is just doing absolutely phenomenal. That's what we're here for. We're educators, right? And so I'm proud of the work that we have collectively done, and thank you for your role in that. School safety, we are second to no one in the state when it comes to school safety. The team that we have put together and the way that we approach it and handle it, education and safety are side by side. They're partners in what we do every single day. We have, when other districts and state are calling you to get help and to get advice and coming and witnessing what you're doing and how you're doing it, you're doing some things right. When your director of safety is training other district safety and they're doing training on the state level, we know that we got the right people at the table. But again, thank you for supporting that. We've been very aggressive on school safety. We will continue to be aggressive on school safety. We want children to feel safe, and we want parents to know their children are safe when they come to our schools. And so I'm proud of where we have gone in school safety. Our career and technical education programs in secondary as well as in adult programs continue to set records with regard to what they're doing, what they're earning, what they're learning, and where they're applying that in their life. My son went through that and now is chasing his career of being a diesel technician as a result of that. And so I'm proud of what's happening. Ms. Goff continues to win grants and grow and grow and grow, and I couldn't be prouder of what our students' opportunities are in Hendry County. I think you know this. Today, we sit at a perfectly balanced budget in Hendry County. Today, what the projected expenses matches the projected income for the district. Not a lot of districts around the state can say that today. So we are very proud of that. We have worked very hard. We have been very frugal. We have been very good stewards of taxpayer dollars. We make everyone scrutinize where we're spending and how is it driving academic achievement in our school district. Our principals are bought in, our teachers are bought in, the district leaders in front of you are bought in, and that's why where we are today. On top of that, we get rated on our financial condition. They look at where our reserves are, they look at what we bring in, they look at what we spend. Today, Hendry County School is #1 in the state at the financial condition. And I'm proud of that. That's because that we have had some unbelievable leadership in our finance department. We have people that know that we are a business. It is about income and it is about expense. We're an education business, we're educating children, but it's still a business. And so we have approached it from a business model, and today we are sound because of it. And so I'm very, very proud of that, of the work that we have done and continuing to do here.
I think we need a big applause.
Yes. It's been 26 years since a shovel's been put in the ground in this district to build a school. We're building a new school. We're doing that on our watch. We're doing that in our time here in Hendry County Schools. And I'm so proud of that, the work that's happening to make that. There's going to be another 70 or 80 years worth of learning happening in this building that you guys are helping foster and that the team in front of you, are doing. So that is incredible. Our graduation rate is steadily climbing. As of today, the new numbers have come out and we're at 82% overall as a district with everything figured into it. And that's the highest it's been in several years. And that's including our online school, our students that we have in Hendry Learning Success Academy and everything. And so that's up almost 2 points from where it was previously and multiple points the years before that. So what we're doing is happening and it's working. One of the most brilliant things that I think we've done as a board, and this also helped foster our financial condition, health insurance should lift the culture of our employees. It hasn't always done that. Today, we still have some room to grow in that area, but we're getting better. But today, we're at a sound financial business when it comes to our health insurance. And so the moving to the self-insured model has been an absolute brilliant move that we have done. We set the pace in the state. We were the first one in that. And in January, in the first quarter, we're going to be one of the first in the state to enter pool and risk sharing. And so our health costs are going to continue to go down, therefore further driving our financial condition and the health and culture of our employees. There's another big announcement coming about that, but I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. We'll talk about in the first quarter of 26 that I think you and all of our employees are going to be absolutely phenomenally happy and tickled with, something that you're going to be able to provide to our employees. And we'll talk more about that in January and February. So just to kind of give you a little teaser there. And the biggest thing, you know, if I had to put a pin in it, I believe today that the culture in Hendry County schools is at an all-time high. I believe that our teachers, for the most part, are happy and they love what they do and where they do. They feel safe. When you walk across our campuses, you see happy students, you see great programs, you see learning taking place. These great leaders that are sitting in front of you can go anywhere. How much movement have we had at the district level in 4 years now? And it's been almost none. That's because we have created and fostered a sense of culture that people want to come to and live in and work in. And so I couldn't be prouder of the group around us, the relationships that we have, and the way that we work together. We're a typical team, or we don't always agree. We're a typical team, or sometimes we go down rabbit holes. But at the end of the day, it's always with what's best for students at the center of the focus. And I think that has been evident and obvious. What we do with our funding, what we do with our time, what we do with our programs, the student focus has to stay there, and it has. And I'm super proud of that. Overall, today as you look around, public education has still a black cloud over its head because of a lot of litany of reasons why. But I'm telling you, the anomaly at Hendry County is doing great jobs. We are not perfect. We got a lot of room to improve and grow. But I'm telling you, with regards to public education, I'm proud to be here. I'm proud of the work that we've done, and I don't believe there's anybody doing it much any better than what's happening right here. So, great work, board. We appreciate your support in the direction we're going. Great work, team, for all the work that they do. They make me look a lot better than I am, but at the end of the day, that's what we want to see happen. So, thank you all very much. Thank you for listening to my 8 points of a year in review. I don't know if we'll see any of you again between now and holiday break, but I hope everyone has a Merry Christmas, a safe holidays, get some good rest and relaxation with your family and loved ones. And in January, we'll hit the ground running, and we'll continue the uphill battle and run that we do every single day. And I wanted to do this year in review specifically for that reason. The crux of most of our jobs is to deal with the issues and problems in Hendry County. Unfortunately, Ms. Tanner, you know, she gets the pile on her, but so does everyone else in here. We're dealing every day with the problematic things, and so it's easy to get clouded of what's happening there. From time to time, we have to pick our head up out of the trenches and look at what's going on around us. And there are some great things going around us every single day in these schools. It's not just the bad things or the problematic things. They're actually a really small percentage of what's happening, but it consumes a huge percentage of our time. So I just wanted to make sure that we all took a moment to realize that in this wonderful spirit of holiday season, the great things that are happening in your county schools. Thank you.
Madam Tanner, will you please put the clock on him next time?
Seriously, I'm taking 20 minutes too now, on my 20 minutes.
Anyway, I really don't have anything other than just to say how proud I am of our school district, and I wish them all a very Merry Christmas and a blessed New Year. Thank you for all that you do.
Right. I noticed Clyde Johnson representatives are here tonight. Is there anything you guys would like to say? You've sat here through this long evening. Is there anything you'd like to share with us?
Well, we always love coming in.
This is what you do on Tuesday nights for fun?
Yes. No, it's great. It's great.
Well, that's good.
We just enjoy working with all of you so much, and we're so excited we get to, amend the contract just so we had a contract for the emergency service agreement. But I know we've been able to help all of you, most recently yesterday. So we're so happy to be able to support all of you.
East side flooded.
Yes.
The emergency response team showed up at East Side. They were so excited.
When
They literally like,
The kids were anywhere.
when we passed the master service agreement, my mind was focused on hurricane mitigation and disaster recovery. And that was earlier, that was not even been a full year ago. We've now used them 4 times since then, and with not even a hard wind, right? So it's been all things that have happened internally, and they have shown up quick and taken care of it and kept the worst things from happening so that mold doesn't start and things like that. So we are very, very proud to partner not only with that, but they've just been a huge partner and supporter of Hendry County Schools. Tonight, I'm sure you know, but tonight specifically, the amendment gave them the ability to use our contract to piggyback other districts. Now they can go to other districts and say, we already have this in place, you can piggyback and use this. And so the amendment we did on there tonight basically was to allow them to do that. And so we're proud to work with them so that they can gather more business and use us as a model for what they can do.
And thank you for your efforts with East Side. Well, I'm sure they were glad you guys were there.
Yeah, the idea is to get in, get out as quick as we can. I was there, I saw I call it the business interruption. the idea was just to, get it done, get out, get kids back in the classroom, and I'm hoping we're going to
Good work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Houston, did you have something? You look like you were wanting to say something.
I mean, and that team helps us so much because it was our principal, our assistant principal, their guidance counselor had squeegees in their hand pushing water out the door. And that helps, I mean, and then my crew got there a couple minutes later, and then they were there about 15 minutes later. So that got our principal after wet shoes and, wet pants, and along with Kristen Mann, our assistant principal and the guidance counselor, they went and changed their schools, and they got right back in the mix in the education process. They were there, we got it dried out last night, and I believe they tested this morning. So they were in their rooms testing this morning, they haven't get rid of the humidifiers at night, so it's like steps. And before we were doing that, it was just the principals and the maintenance department, and the staffs, but east side had it covered right.
We got education back online very quickly.
That's great.
Very
Thank you.
quickly, so thank you guys.
Just one more quick thing I'd like to share is in the park on Saturday night in LaBelle, we had jazz in the park. We had the four bands, Clues High School Band, Clues Middle School Band, LaBelle High School Band, LaBelle Middle School Band, all played Christmas music in the park. And it was at sunset, the lights came on, the park was absolutely beautiful. It was a beautiful night. The lights came on the gazebo, you could see the band playing. It was a terrific night. I'd like to especially thank Mr. Sanchez and Mr. Swindle, who cooked the hot dogs on their grill, and all the band participants got as many hot dogs as they wanted and drinks. And Mr. Adams took care of the finances, so I wanted to recognize him. But it was a terrific night, and maybe we should think about doing that again. I loved it.
Ms. Busen was there for moral support.
Oh, Miss Busen was there.
She was grilled oversight.
Yeah.
And I,
Taste test.
it is
Yeah,
worth.
but I didn't trust it to that point, but I was
Yeah.
making sure, food safety, security officer.
It's also worth noting that Mr. Simmerdike sponsored that out of his pocket. He paid for everything and took care of it, so that was very kind of him to do so.
It was terrific. That's it. Everybody have a happy new year and Merry Christmas.
Well, I'll just toot your horn. I really am impressed with Mr. Sammerdike, but you went above and beyond for our community. People are always griping, there's nothing to do, and that was good for you.
Well, thank you
I'm
very much.
proud of you. I really don't, I can't.
I love
I
this.
can't compete with everything they sent down there, but Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Your turn.
This has been, oh man, this has been a year. B District, A schools, building a school, and safety, and a balanced budget. Oh man. And you guys have done an awesome job. And presentation, everything, all year long. I have always seen one thing out of every one of you. You put on your best effort to do what you were assigned to do. And I appreciate it. So you ought to be applauded. Yes.
Well, now I'm prepared for my 20 minutes, like Mr. Swindle used to say, 20 minutes. I know, I'm playing. Precedent was set, Mr. Baskin. So I want to say it has been an extraordinary year. I know that we have set up here many years in Nash Teeth, particularly on the budget. And so it's heartening to see that our budget is balanced, and congratulations to the superintendent and the board on the points of the year in review. I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to the families who choose to send their students to Hendry County School District, and who have trust and faith in the quality of education and the safe environment that they are being educated in. And at the end of the day, our business model would not exist without parents and families choosing Hendry County School District, particularly in the strong school choice environment that the state of Florida is in. So I think that's very important, and I want to say thank you to the staff who steps up every day. One thing I've learned about education is it's always a moving target. There's always a new challenge, and you got to be nimble, quick on your feet, and problem solvers. And I see a lot of that going on in the district. And So, you know, I'm thankful. It's a profession that a lot of people don't want to step up to, or some people even get into it, get scared of it and run away. But, you know, the courage it takes to show up every day for the students, keep kids and students at the center, at the focus of everything that we do and the decisions we make. And I just appreciate that. Like, we're here, we're the legislation version of the portion of the district, but the boots on the grounds and the people who are implementing it and doing the work are the ones who like really deserve to be commended. And so just want to tell you that you're appreciated. Even if I'm up here questioning everybody and giving everybody a hard time, that's the way I show love. And don't y'all feel love now? Like, oh, so love. Group hug here. And so thank you for that. And so back to, I don't want to like leave everybody with the warm and fuzzies here. So I'm going to ask for in the January meeting, if we can get PM2 data. Just to see.
It's done, Susan's done.
Okay, perfect. And I'd just like a comparison about like where we were last year, like a year-to-year comparison on that. And want to say happy holidays to everyone. And I'm looking forward to exciting and 2026 full of lots of progress. And that concludes my comment.
Thank you all for coming.